Joseph Joachim was one of the most influential violinists in history. His masterful technique and keen interpretations of pieces dazzled the public. Joachim's debut in England at age 12 laid the foundation for his English career that would continue from that day on to 1904. At the debut, he performed Beethoven's Violin Concerto with the London Philharmonic Society Orchestra under Felix Mendelssohn. The debut proved him a performer of excellent skill and fine interpretation, and greatly improved the concerto's critical reception. According to Robert W. Esbach, the famed violinist Eugene Ysaye revered the interpretation and proposed that Joachim played the piece so well that he seemed a part of it, and in his performance had presented it to the world as a masterpiece. In addition to his playing, Joachim composed and edited many pieces. The most famous of his compositions is the Hungarian Concerto. Today, performers pair his concerto with Brahms's Violin Concerto because he and Brahms were such close friends. Some even argue that Joachim's Hungarian Concerto inspired Brahms's Violin Concerto, and support their claims with the evidence that Brahms's concerto's robust rhythm reflects the nature of Joachim's Finale alla Zingara, and like the gypsy themes of Joachim's work, encourages the soloist to dig into the strings for a bold, full-bodied sound. Though there is only minimal biographical information available on Joachim, we know he had a family, and a large one at that. Joachim married the budding opera singer Amalie Weiss, with whom he had 6 children. However, after 20 years of marriage, his wife chose to return to her past career as a concert artist and opera singer. Joachim claimed that his wife was being unfaithful to him with her music publisher, and as a result, split the marriage. However, historian Beatrix Bouchard credits the fault not to Amalie, but to Joachim due to the likelihood that his patriarchal ego, which would have been common in that era, clashed with his wife's new claim to power through her career. Joachim's skills as a violinist and composer won and kept him many friends. Most notably, they won over Johannes Brahms, best known today by the general public for his Hungarian dances. Joachim and Brahms had a strong friendship from the beginning of their careers and throughout the rest of their lives. Correspondence only ended when Joachim passed away in 1907. Joachim frequently offered his good-natured musical critiques and suggestions to Brahms, who gladly took his counseling on the violin parts of his compositions. According to Stephen J. Haller, for his Violin Concerto, Brahms good-naturedly acknowledged that Joachim was more or less responsible for the violin part. One part of Joachim's playing that separates him from today's greatest violinists is his technique. As was popular for violinists of the Romantic period, he used minimal or no vibrato. The general belief was that vibrato was a special adornment, much like trills, and did not improve overall tone quality. Joachim knew when and when not to adorn a phrase. Rather than use vibrato at any single moment in a grand piece, he let the note's pure sounds ring out. This is clear in his recording of Romance in C, in which the sound only wavers because of the record's quality. Joachim had a long public career. So great was its length that, on one occasion, a mistaken Dutchman approached Joachim saying, "Allow me, sir, to congratulate you on your performance, which I thought very fine, but also to remind you that I had the privilege many years ago of hearing your father, the great Joachim." To that, Joachim replied that his father had been a wool merchant, and so the Joachim he had seen perform must be the same one as to whom he was presently speaking. The Dutchman, in disbelief, left the room muttering, "It's all wrong, it was his father I heard." The end of Joachim's career as a performer in England came in 1904, when he chose to retire. Prime Minister Balfour organized the celebrations to take place in Queen's Hall, and set the date on the 60th anniversary of Joachim's debut performing the Beethoven Violin Concerto on the 27th of May, 1884. At the celebrations, local admirers gave Joachim a Stradivarius violin, and the Prime Minister presented him with his portrait done by John Singer Sargent. 3 years later, Joachim passed away. His fame was clear at his funeral. Students accompanied his hearse to the Kaiser Wilhelm Memorial Church in Berlin, and behind the hearse trailed 5 wagons of tribute flowers from admiring fans. At the time, he was one of the greatest stars of the music world, and he remains today one of the most revered performers in history.